This is legal library research presented by the Newman Library. My name is Cindy, I'm Research and Instruction Librarian. And just generally, what are we going to talk about tonight? We're going to talk about how to find legal information, such as federal statutes and regulations, Texas statutes and regulations, and case law. So pretty straightforward. Now at this point, I'm going to switch over to the website. Okay, so to find, first of all, we have a nice research guide designed just for you guys. So if you go to the main library website and scroll down to the big gray box, and you'll see that there's some tabs up here. And one of those tabs on the far right is called Research Guides. If you click on that, then that will take you to these two selections here. And this time we're going to look under Research Guides for a subject for environmental management. Going to click on that and then click Submit. Okay, and that's going to take you to this separate page. And very simple, there's only one selection on there, environmental management. So I'm going to click on that. And that's going to take you to the environmental management LibGuide. This is called a library guide. And it just contains a selection of information to help you find information on a particular topic, in this case, environmental management. And you'll notice at the top that there's one tab called Legal Research. And this is really where we're going to be focusing today. We're going to look at some of these resources that are on this page, such as Nexus, Uni, Westlaw, and GovInfo. And so that is going to be our primary focus tonight. The two main databases that you're really going to use a lot, probably while doing legal research, is Nexus Uni and Westlaw. Nexus Uni, you may also hear it referenced as LexisNexis Academic. That's an old name. That's the old name for that particular database, but some people, I believe, still refer to it as that. But if you hear somebody say LexisNexis, then they're really talking about Nexus Uni. It's the same thing. Between Westlaw and Nexus Uni, Westlaw is a little bit more user-friendly. So that's the one that we're actually going to focus on tonight. And so types of sources, I'm going to flip back over to the PowerPoint for a second. I have these two nice slides here that talks about two different types of sources that you're probably going to be looking for your legal research. We have primary sources, which in legal research means those are the resources that actually dictate the law, that tell you what you can and cannot do, such as, you know, how many fish you can catch in a lake, for instance. You know, it tells you, no, there's a limit to that, or whether or not how close you can maybe build a certain type of building next to a sanctuary of some kind or something. So those primary sources are the actual laws and orders, decisions, or regulations that are issued by government entities or by officials, such as a court, a legislature, or executive agency, the president, or a state governor. Now, secondary sources will offer analysis or commentary on those laws. And so they can be used to help locate and explain those sources of law. So think of these, you know, these are items that may, you know, say if a law is passed, you know, you cannot build this building next to this environmental site because XYZ. Well, a secondary source will maybe discuss that and explain it a little bit further so that you can better understand the ramifications of that law, and which is really good for anybody who doesn't have a proper legal background and doesn't understand legalese. If you've ever read a case law or anything like that, you understand how complicated it can be to interpret that. So these people who have written these secondary sources have done some interpretation for you. So that's how that can be useful for you. So let me see. Okay, so, and there are three basic types of legal information that we're going to be looking at. Statutes, which are the laws that are passed by state legislatures or by the United States Congress. Regulations, which are those rules that are adopted by administrative agencies that govern how those laws will be enforced. And then the cases that are written by that are the written opinions of appellate and lower court judges. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the website, and we're going to go back to our library webpage, and this time we're going to go look for specific databases. And I put this in here because I wanted you to understand that there's a very easy way to find any database in the library. So if anybody tells you to go to XYZ database in the library, all you have to do is, once again, go to the main library webpage, scroll down to the big gray box, whoops, and okay, and then click on databases. And they're listed in alphabetical order. So in this case, I want to find Westlaw, so I'm going to look for W's for Westlaw. I'm going to click on that and just look for Westlaw in the alphabetical list. Okay. And then usually you have to sign in. I've been using this database today, so it remembered my login information for me. But if you're off campus, which I think most students are right now, you will be asked to log in using your student credentials. So don't be surprised if a separate page comes up for that. If y'all been doing any research whatsoever, you've probably run into this. So this is the basic interface for Westlaw. They've made it pretty simple and intuitive to navigate, which is, I think, anybody who hasn't done much legal research yet in these databases, I think they will appreciate this a little bit more rather than Nexus Uni. So, but you'll see here that they have things pretty well laid out and sorted for you. So some of the types of information that you can find in here. So for instance, if I wanted to look for some federal materials, I can go under, click on the tab called Federal Materials, and I can find the Code of Federal Regulations, which is the compilation of regulations that have been promulgated and have the force of law. This, you want to use, search the Code of Federal Regulations for current regulations. So that's a good point to note if you're new to the legal research. You can also find the Federal Register here under Federal Materials. And the Federal Register is a daily report of regulations that are working their way through the process of becoming finalized. So you want to search the Federal Register for proposed and pending regulations. So, you know, again, good to note if you're new to legal research. And then we're also going to go look for the Texas Administrative Code. So we're talking about Texas, right? So that makes sense that we're going to click on the State Materials tab. And you can see here they've sorted everything by state. So I'm going to click on Texas. And I really wanted to show this to you because it's not intuitive when you first look at it. But under regulations, Texas regulations, those are that's the Texas Administrative Code. So, which is the official compilation of all state agency rules and regulations applying to the activity of government agencies. You'll notice that there are 17 titles, and each title represents a subject category, and related agencies are assigned to the appropriate title. So whenever you're looking for Texas Administrative Code, you can come to Westlaw and very easily find that. Okay, so going back to the main Westlaw page here, we're gonna do some, we're gonna search my example here. So I'm gonna flip back over to my PowerPoint and show you a couple of examples. So you can actually search Westlaw by using citations, law citations, and using common abbreviations used in legal citations. And these are two examples. So for instance, if I wanted to find Title 42 of the United States Code annotated section 300F, I can simply type that into the search bar at the top of the screen and go directly to that particular item. Same for case opinion, Supreme Court Reporter, Volume 130. So if you know what those little abbreviations are for some of these items, you can certainly use those to search in this particular database. So that's just good to know. Now going back to the database, we're going to do an example here. So I'm going to perform a citation search. I'm going to go ahead and blow the screen up a little bit. So hopefully you can see it a little bit better. And I'm going to type in the search box 549 space SW space 2D space 385. Okay, and that's going to bring up a very specific document. It's going to bring up this document here, Clear Lake City Water Authority versus Clear Lake Utilities Company. Okay, so that's an example there of a citation search if you know exactly what you're looking for. And what I also want you to notice is up here above this document, there are some subtabs here. So if you want to see any negative treatments related to this particular document, you can select negative treatment and it'll pull those documents up, anything related to that. Also any history related to the document and any citing references. And looky there, how nice is that? It brings you a little drop down menu so you can choose a specific type of source if you want to. So Westlaw has done a pretty good job, I think, of trying to help you out as best they can. I think legal information is one of those types of resources it's very unique in the way it's organized. It can be difficult to search until you get used to how to search it. So let me see, what else am I going to look at here? Okay, so now we're going to change tack, and now I've shown you how to search using a citation, but what if you don't have a specific citation or a specific document that you're looking for? What if you have a topic that you want to know something, you want to know what's been happening with your topic? So an example would be the BP oil spill in the Gulf Coast. So hopefully some, if not all of you, will remember something about that a few years ago. So I'm going to do an example here. I'm going to type in BP and oil spill. Let me move that. And Gulf Coast. Okay, and let's see what Westlaw has on that. And I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so here we have 9 results for this, all different sorts of things. You can actually go over here to the left side of the page and narrow your search by category if there's a particular type of document that you're looking for. And so that's an easy way right there to search by topic. But there's actually another way you can actually search, and this one's much more complicated, but I think it can reap a lot of benefits for you if you learn how to do it. If you notice on the right-hand side of the search box, there's a little hot link there for advanced search. Okay, I'm gonna click on that, click on advanced search, and that pulls you up this page here. And what's really great about this page are these connectors and expanders on the right-hand side of the page. What I really recommend is just playing around with these while you're doing some searches. And these can maybe help narrow your searches down a little bit more as you search. Now I'm going to do an example. I'll warn you, this gets really confusing, which is why I recommend playing around with it yourself, because it really takes using some of these tools to really understand how they work and how they can be of benefit to you. So here's the example that I have. So let's just say that I want to search for a very specific term, very specific phrase, water pollution, okay? So if I go over here to my little list of connectors and expanders, I will see here that the quotation marks, if I put quotation marks around my chosen phrase, the exact phrase I want to search for, water pollution, then it will search exactly for that phrase, water pollution, in the documents, in the database, okay? So, but now I also want to find another word in the same paragraph. So you see /P, if I put in /P as a connector, then I can use that to find something, another term in the same paragraph. So /P, the word prevention. So I'm looking for prevention of water pollution, obviously. Okay, so that's the first part of my search query that I'm going to add to the search query, and this is where it gets confusing. So right now, the way my search query is set up, it's going to look for the database is going to search for the exact phrase water pollution. Also in the same paragraph, the word prevention. Okay, so that to me is fairly easy to understand, but I'm going to really mix it up here. So I'm going to put parentheses around that portion of my search query. And the database understands when I put those parentheses around that portion, that it will search for that portion of my search query first. Now I'm going to add a second part. After it searches this part, it's also going to search for and coast, exclamation mark. Now the and, you can see, is shorthand for and. So it's going to search for and coast, but the exclamation mark is a root expander. So that means it's going to search for every word that starts with the word coast. So it could be coaster, could be coastline, could be coasting, anything that starts with the word coast. So that's gonna expand my results a little bit. Okay, so again, I know that this can be a little confusing. It's gonna take practice, but I want you to know that this exists so that you can maybe try to use it at some point for whenever you're searching for a specific types of documents or specific topics on your documents. So we'll just go ahead and run that search and see what it pulls up. Okay, so this is what it's pulled up. So now we have some cases. Now we're going to notice with a couple of these, let's see, this one here, we have one here that has a nice little red flag next to it. Okay, so don't be afraid if you see flags next to some of these results. So the red flag warns that the case is no longer good law for at least one of the points of law that it contains. So that's not necessarily a bad thing for you. What you have to do is you have to go click on that cute little flag, and then it's going to take you to further information about that. And so you just have to read through that and try to understand whether or not it's relevant to your research question that you're trying to answer. So, and then if I scroll down, you'll see that next to another one of these, this private letter ruling, there's a yellow flag next to that one. So the yellow flag is just a warning that says that the case has some negative history but has not been reversed or overruled. So again, you know, you just have to click on that little flag and it's going to give you some more information about that. Nothing to be frightened of, just something to be aware of, that there might be something about either one of these cases or these pieces of information that may affect the particular research that you're working on. So just something to be aware of. Okay, so next we're going to go someplace completely different. We're going to go to govinfo.gov. And this is a government sponsored website where you can find all sorts of wonderful information. It's free public access to official publications from all three branches of the federal government. It was formerly known as FDSIS. So if you see any references to FDSIS, they've changed it. It's now called GovInfo. I'm not sure how long ago they changed that. So, but somebody out there is probably still referring to it by its old name. But you see here, they have a really nice looking little website here. The interface is pretty straightforward. I'm going to zoom in on this one just a little bit as well. And it contains all sorts of wonderful information, such as Code of Federal Regulations from 1996 to present, the Federal Register from 1936 to present, and United States Code 1994 to present, along with a whole slew of other things. And if you wanted to, you can browse through an alphabetical list of all the documents that they have. If you're looking for something very specific, or you're just curious to know what's in here, you can also browse by category, by date of publication, or by specific date range, by the committee, by the issuing committee, and by the government author. But rather than doing that, a great way to search this particular website is by using the advanced search feature. So again, using the advanced search feature allows you to build a very specific search query using the date range, the collection, and the search terms. So for instance, if I wanted to search for public law, for P-law, let's see, I can scroll down this list, look for public and private laws, and then search for pollution prevention. And search. And it's going to give me a whole slew of things. And then I can further refine those results depending on what I'm looking for. I can narrow it down. If I'm looking for things that happened in a specific year, like 1999, then I can certainly narrow that down. Or if I'm just interested in what House bills are related to this, or Senate bills, then I can look at that. So be aware that you can certainly narrow these down. I also like over here, I've just highlighted in blue here, they have some really nice tools over here. You can actually email yourself a copy of the results. You can also share a link of these results to yourself, and you can also download a list of these results should you wish to do so. And that's really nice to know that you can do that. I especially like the email feature because I like to email things to myself that to remind myself to come back and look at it later, especially if I found a whole bunch of stuff that is really relevant to what I'm trying to research. And so that gives me an opportunity to easily save that or send myself a copy of that and then come back later and look at it. And then looking at one of the records here, you can see they also give the options on the left-hand side to download different formats of this particular record. You can also you can read more about the record itself and look at any documents related to that record. So that's really, again, that's really handy to do. And again, they also give you the option of emailing yourself a copy of this record or saving a permanent link to this record. So all these tools are very handy to have whenever you're doing research and you're like, oh, I don't have time to finish this project at this moment. I need to come back and look at this later. So you can just email yourself a copy or save a copy to the link and come back directly to this particular record. So I always like to point those types of things out because it's very useful for you, the researcher. Okay, so next I have another website, and this is going by a lot quicker than I thought. So we're going to go to epa.gov. And as environmental students, I'm sure you're probably already quite familiar with epa.gov, which is the United States Environmental Protection Agency website. Since you're looking for legal research, you're probably just going to want to click on the laws and regulations tab at the top of the screen. There you go. Okay. And then when you scroll down the screen, very nicely, they have things organized by topic or by sector. And so if you're looking for a specific topic, you can just click on more topics. And then say, for instance, criteria air pollutants. You can click on that specific topic and it's going to take you to a whole other page that gives you a whole bunch of other information to look at related to that topic, including laws and regulations associated with that. So a very nice website to go look at for environmental information. So that actually went by a lot quicker than I thought it was going to. Does anybody have any questions at this point or anything they want to go back and look at a second time that maybe I went a little bit too fast? Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to talk.
I would recommend looking at the CFR a little bit.
Okay, you can do that.
Where they can find the CFR and the U.S. code, because their homework assignment has questions that bring them into both of those.
Okay, you can certainly access the electronic CFR, and that is very simply ecfr.gov. And so that will take you to this website right here. And again, let's see, they have the titles. They have several titles right here that you can simply see. I think I remember in your document that you sent me yesterday, you mentioned, I think 42 was 42 was one of the titles that you had referenced. And so in the public health, so you can simply click on that and just continue drilling down until you find the piece of information that you're looking for. I also highly recommend, again, read through their search tips because they also, just like Westlaw has those nice search tips to help you build a research query, so does ECFR. And so they give you some really great tips here about using different tools like Boolean operators and proximity. See, they also have a proximity search so that you can find terms that are close to each other with a certain number of words. So just like Westlaw allows you to search for two terms that are in the same paragraph, proximity search you can set a parameter to say, I want to have this word appear within at least 10 words of this other term. So that's very nice if you're looking for a very specific kind of topic. That can be, I think, very useful. So be sure to use that. And then of course, they have two little advanced search tools here, one for Boolean operators and another for proximity searching. So they've tried to design this website to make it as easy as possible for you to find information. And what was the other item that you mentioned?
U.S. code.
Okay, U.S. code. Now, I do remember, I don't know specifically where the website is for that, but U.S. code annotated, is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, Westlaw has a version of the U.S. code. Nexus does.
Yes.
Cornell University links to it, which is another website. And so a lot of what you're looking for in the homework, if you look at this page, it has the U.S. code, which is the statutes passed by Congress. It has the Code of Federal Regulations. It has the Federal Register, and Westlaw has some pretty good search functions. You can also find pretty much all of that on the government website that's free. And I recommend exploring a little bit of both because you probably won't have Westlaw easily available for free once you leave UH Clear Lake. Right. And it can be quite spendy otherwise. It's been a while since I've priced it, but I've known of law students who are used to it at school for free in the library, going to law firms and racking up a $300 bill before they know it. So now that was years ago. I don't know how it prices now.
Expensive, I'm sure.
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
And so the GovInfo is a useful website. ECFR, if you're looking in the CFR, are some good free websites as well. But I just suggest exploring. And for those of you who've never used these resources, it may be a little bit challenging at first, but then you know how to get your way around them a little bit better. I know in law school, we were doing mostly paper searches, and I went to a lot of dead ends, but then when I was looking for something else later, I knew where to go. So it's really not as lost time as you might think it is. And once you've gotten in there, the next time it's going to be much easier.
Is anybody here not familiar with Interlibrary Loan? Well, I will discuss Interlibrary Loan because it is actually one of my most favorite things about university libraries. And this is something that I discovered as a master's degree student a few years ago because I used Interlibrary Loan like crazy. So again, main webpage, scroll down the page, click on Interlibrary Loan. So if the library, if Newman Library does not have access to an article or a book or any other item that you need for your research, or that you just want to read it for whatever reason, then you can go to Interlibrary Loan, log in using your student credentials, and request those items. So if you have an article, you see over here under New Request, I'm going to scroll, zoom in just a little bit. Under New Request, you can see there's different forms for each type of request. So if you're looking for an article, and I do this all the time, these guys are awesome because they will get the access for you. So don't ever pay for a journal article. Absolutely not. Not while you're a student, at least, because that's part of what your student fees are paying for. The library will get that thing for you. So if you need an article.
And I was just going to comment, frequently it can come to you in the form of a PDF on an email.
Yes, and I actually have some examples of that in here, because I just received today, in the last couple of days, I requested some articles, so I can certainly show that. So there's, you know, a Form 4 book, and just you can see that there's little red asterisks next to fields that they really need that information. Give them as much information about the item that you can. It will make it easier for them to find it, and the easier it is for them to find the item is the faster they can turn that thing around for you. So if it's an article, for instance, a lot of times they will go, especially if there's an online access of any kind, they can go pay for that using university, library funds. And again, so here, I'm going to click under here under View Electronically Received Articles. And here are some articles that I have recently requested. And you see it comes to you as a PDF that you can download onto your computer. And you can print that out if you want to. You can save it, do whatever you want to with it. And so, you know, some of these can be very expensive to purchase. And when you buy more than one, it very quickly adds up. I don't know about you, but I live my life on a budget. So I certainly don't want to be paying for these. And when I was a student, I couldn't afford to pay for all of these. So, so be aware of Interlibrary Loan is one of the best things your library offers. And so if it's a book, what they'll do, if you only need if you know you only need a portion of that book, say if you need a single chapter out of that book and you know exactly what it is, then tell them somewhere here in the notes to say, I really only need this much. And maybe what another lending library can do is just copy that little portion for you and then send it as a PDF. If you require the entire book, then that can take a longer amount of time to turn around. But basically what our guys do is they will call around. They have a network of other libraries that they contact, and they will ask that library, will you please lend us your book so that we can in turn lend it to our student. And so that's basically how that works. And then you would return that book to us and we would send it back to that very nice library who let us borrow that for you. So that's essentially how that works. And again, it doesn't have to be academic related. Sometimes you want to just read something fun and it's easy. You know, your university library is right there. You're on campus anyway sometimes, so you can just pick it up there. So, and I'm going to try to find something that's at a sister library, U of H downtown. So I'm going to filter that to just items at U of H downtown campus. So here's a book on cats. So let's just say I wanted that. Let's just say our library. So we do have a copy of this book on cats. But let's just pretend for the sake of argument that somebody had checked out the Newman Library's copy of this book about big cats. So I wanted to get a copy from either U of H MD Anderson Library or the downtown library. Well, I would have to sign in to my library account by clicking sign in. Clear Lake. Somebody's having a party. University of Clear Lake.
You get to this one part, you're gonna know exactly.
Okay, I signed in using my university credentials, and then I can simply request that. And so within the university system, that will allow me to request that book from another, from University Downtown or University Anderson Library. And so our circulation people will contact them and say, hey, we have a student or a faculty member or a staff member who wants this particular item. Can you please send that over here to us, and they will do that. While we talk a little bit more, if we have any more questions, I'm going to ask everyone here that before you log off your computer tonight, if you would please give us some feedback on tonight's presentation. We love to get feedback. Always like to know if anything could be improved on any presentation that we do. So, so if you go, again, I took you this link on this page here. We'll take you back to that environmental science LibGuide that I showed you how to get to. Do you remember how to get to that? You go to the main library webpage, scroll down to the gray box, look for research guides, click on the drop-down menu, and then click on environmental management, and then environmental management again. And there should be a tab on there that says feedback. One last slide to share. So again, if you have any questions, I'm just making sure that we get this slide onto the recorded presentation. So if anybody has any questions, you can always ask a librarian, and there's the link to the lib answers. Again, my name is Cindy, and I'm a research and instruction librarian. If you want to contact me directly, there's my email, good with an E at uhcl.edu. I'm happy to answer any questions and try to help you the best that I can, okay?